vulnerability. So as a parent of 3, my children will tell you about vagina in a minute. In a second. In fact, they'll come in, Mum, my willy hurts. I'm like, all right, put it away. All right. But they're comfortable with it. And so I think that maybe perpetrators think twice with children who are potentially comfortable or a bit more informed. So I just wanted to put that out there. Also, the other thing about perpetrators not just being male. Okay? That's a big, big, big thing. Okay? You'll find more and more females, whether they're adolescents themselves or they're a bit older than the child or they're an adult, they will perpetrate these offences against children. So that's the other thing to be made aware of. Okay. I would like to invite Elaine Fogarty. No? I ain't even going to do that. Elaine. Elaine, if you'd like to come and share your story, please. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Firstly, I just want to say thanks for coming along and listening to everything we got to say today. It really means a lot. I am a mother of a child that was abused. It was my daughter. She was abused by her father, and at the time when I found out about it, we were separated and going through a divorce, and she was 3.5 years old when I found out about it. Obviously, many people, I think, want to know, how did you find out? I'm aware there's people here who may not, this has happened to them. When I talk about this, it's difficult because obviously I'm talking as the mother or the carer of a survivor. It's her story. It's hard for me to talk about it sometimes because it's her story. But I do think it's important. You've heard from Maureen about Mossack. I also volunteer there. And we are such a silent minority, us mothers and carers and fathers whose children have gone through this. And the support for us, in my experience, was almost nothing at the time. It was a bit of a slow burn, me finding out about my daughter, and it was through her behaviour, and actually my mother brought my attention to it whilst we were on holiday, and she was masturbating and humping and whatever word you want to use in a extremely sexualised manner. I never saw it because I used to put her to bed first, and then I would put my son to bed, and she would be asleep by the time I went back in, and in that little bit of time in between, she had gone through this process till she was so exhausted she'd fall asleep. So obviously from there on, I kept an eye on her, and it continued, and I noticed that it was something that was happening almost every single night. So keep an eye on my time. But she was 3 years old, and she had no words, and I would speak to her, but she didn't want to talk about it or couldn't. So obviously I went to professionals to talk to them because I'm thinking this isn't normal. But mostly I was told, oh, it's fine, don't worry. And obviously since working at Mossack and seeing these signs that Maureen's just talked about, even when I'm sitting listening, I feel myself shaking, slightly angry now, all these years on after, to think that everything that she was talking about, the fear, the bedwetting, the masturbation in a ritualistic manner, everything was happening in every night terrors, all of that. But I was told that children do this around this age. You're going through a divorce and separation. This is a very scary time for her. Pretty much that I felt sometimes it was my fault that, that we were in this situation and that my daughter was suffering really badly because of the stress that she was under. So it carried on for a while until one evening I went in and my daughter was wrapped in her big, thick duvet, humping, and the only word I ever use is really going for it, to the point that she was soaking wet with sweat. I unwrapped her and I gently said to her, "What are you doing?" And she's 3.5, so she just looked at me and said, "I'm doing what my daddy showed me." And he showed me when he was rubbing his willy. And I sat there and thought, this is everything that I dreaded. There's a little side to this that my ex-husband had been diagnosed with sex addiction which obviously led to the breakdown of our marriage. But with that, there were sexual boundaries, the things that I learned about him, his sexual boundaries, etc., that just didn't exist. But I was very much told that this was something that was other adults. I brought it up at the time when he was in therapy. I went along and listened to some of that. I expressed some fear about the children and everything, and was told that, no, nothing to worry about. So this was always in the back of my head, and there's always this slight sixth sense feeling of I just felt these things were connected. So while she told me this, all I could hear, and today I can still feel that moment of when she said it, and she just looked at me, and I said, "What do you mean?" And she was saying, "You know, when he rubs his willy," and almost angry, like, "I don't want to talk about this is just something that happens." And I just kept thinking, just be calm, be calm, be calm. Tried to talk more to her, but it was end of subject, that was it, she was done. I went downstairs. I lived on my own with my children at the time, and I rang the NSPCC. I didn't know what to do. I can, shaking, the fear, you just don't know what to do. The situation is just so bizarre. And even though a part of me thought I knew this, I still didn't really know this. And even the conversation with the NSPCC, who were great, but, this is what you do next, and you contact this person, and you call social services, and the police will be involved. And you just cannot believe that the conversation you're having at, 9 o'clock at night, on your own, thinking, good God, really? This is me now. This is my life. So from that, various things kind of happened from that on. The world changed. But I went to my doctor, who examined my daughter. And the thing is, there's no physical evidence whatsoever, which is quite common in young children. And, there's a point, as you say, it's hard to talk about some of these things, but there's a point that can be gone to where there is no physical evidence on a child. So that was negative. But she was so concerned that she felt that she would call social services, which in a way is good, because I think that gave more credibility. It wasn't me. And the next thing, social services were on the phone, and like a SWAT team, that the police were coming, they were coming, questions, there'd be arrests, there'd be everything. And I remember thinking then, this is out of control. Who's going to hear? Will it be in the papers? Will the school know? Will everyone know? And the time from talking to them to that happen, or them saying that was going to happen, in my case, was an afternoon. So everything was going through my head. But what actually happened is, one young girl turned up, probably just early 20s, very nice, but very, very inexperienced. She was the SWAT team. They decided, no police, no nothing, we're just going to come and have a chat, which they did. I think they call it a Section 7, but it was just a series of meetings with me and my children and my daughter and obviously their father. And literally waiting. I know that there's rules they can't ask a child to say anything. They just wait for the child to disclose. And obviously a 3.5-year-old, she was running around the house, she was a very happy little girl, and they left saying, look, there's been no disclosure, there's nothing, we've interviewed everybody and we can't see anything, and so this case is closed to us now. In fact, the girl in question, the social service worker in question, at one point when she came back from a meeting with the father and their children, spent a great deal of time telling me what a great father that he was and how amazing he was with them and how happy they were in his company, which was surreal to me, given obviously my concerns. So then what happened was, for 6 months, my children left. My daughter would go and she would spend weekends, every other weekend, and I think one holiday in that time, with her father, who I genuinely believed was abusing her. But I also believe there was absolutely nothing that I could do about it at this point, because social services had been involved, the case was closed, and it was just one of the worst periods of my life, saying goodbye to them and knowing that I had these fears. He was extremely aggressive towards me, he was really secretive, he was taking my children to places, he wouldn't tell me where they were going. And then things just got from bad to worse with my daughter. The masturbation got worse. She started doing exactly what the person who spoke to you. She was lying on the floor. She was on my foot. She would, in the playground when we went to pick up her older brother, And still, I'm telling people all this time that this is going on, and it was just kind of, oh, you know, not sure. And my solicitor, because I was at the end of a divorce, was basically saying, you sound like a crazy woman. They're not going to believe you. You could absolutely affect your contact rights with your children. Shut up, basically, and just get this divorce done. And this is basically what you need to do, and just calm down. I woke up one morning and the children had been with their pet father that weekend, and they had said to me they'd been taken to a hotel to visit a man. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. And literally, I think I went to bed that night. I probably didn't sleep. I prayed a lot, and I woke up in the morning, and I basically thought, what the hell am I doing? My children, I believe they're in danger. If there was any other person on this planet that was coming to my house and taking my children every other weekend where I had even a tenth of those fears, they wouldn't go. They wouldn't be going. I wouldn't let them go. And actually, I'd be believed more. But obviously, it was an ex-husband and a fight through a divorce. And there was this problem that parent alienation syndrome, which was his argument all through it. And I just said, that's it. I contacted everyone, social services, the doctor, the health visitor, and said, this is what I'm doing. I don't care anymore. I'm just stopping him seeing them. So that's what happened, and I waited. 3 weeks later, basically what resulted from that was years and years of court hearings and social services and psychologists and barristers and solicitors to fight to keep my children safe. And it was kind of in 3 blocks, really, because we'd had the first social services visit. The second one, because they were then after me, because obviously he had said, I'm stopping him seeing the children. So what we went through there was a much more in-depth, and I had to fight to get someone that was experienced. I absolutely put my foot down. They sent me a trainee lady, and although everyone has to learn, and I understand that, but I just totally put my foot down and said, on your head will be it. If nothing happens, I promise you I'll go to anywhere. I'll put it in the papers. And there is the line when you're in this situation between crazy woman and calm but very, very, very assertive and definite. And almost treading that line is harder than anything you're going through, because once you go over that line, they're then, yep, she's mad, you're right, she's mad, she's angry, she wants you to never see the children again. And I just knew in my head I couldn't get to that point because I would have lost my case. So anyway, I did get an experienced social worker this time round. However, my story there was very much, she was on my side, it seemed, but the reports that she had to write never quite said what she said to me in person. But they did say that they weren't sure about the safety there. Okay. So then that went on, basically, that social services, psychologists, people like that, all involved. So a lot of professional people, in fact, 9 different people for my daughter in 3 years was visited and met with. And the situation that I had, I'm still fighting all this time to keep my child safe. So they were saying to me that he's too dangerous for him to be alone with them. He's too dangerous for them to have any time. He has to be watched, sight and sound, that this man, you know, was not safe enough with his children. But yet, it's still very, very important that they visit him, that my daughter visits this man, which even today, it's ridiculous. And the situation there being obviously that he was a father, and the father-child contact should be maintained at all times, above all odds. And she had no voice. You know, we talked about the young child, the no voice, that nothing to say. The most important thing, actually, as well, is that my daughter was showing she wasn't frightened to see her dad. She didn't know what was happening to her. It was nice. She loved her dad, and she felt safe. He took care of her. He bought her lots of presents. He completely and utterly groomed her, and he made sure that my son was tucked away somewhere on a computer and knew nothing about what was going on. So this went on, you know, this situation where they then had to be supervised and looked at, and he even broke all that. He managed to get my daughter away in that situation. He brought her up in a loft, etc., to the point whereby I moved away. We had more social services involved who finally did listen to us, and my daughter, 3 years on, did disclose. But all this time, she hadn't disclosed to anybody other than me. So it was my voice all the time. And the only thing that could keep me going is to say, I believe her, I believe her. And even when, we're saying about how friends or people don't want to talk about this, I have really good friends. I couldn't tell half of them. The people I told, I chose carefully. The support I got was amazing. But even their partners, particularly the husbands of my friends, were like, we don't hear about this. We don't want to know about this. And some of them were even like, we don't really want these children around the house now because, this is all a bit uncomfortable. So it really was a difficult, hard conversation to be having and a difficult, isolating place to be. His mother obviously disowned us and lied about what I was saying in court and everything. And I think what I'm trying to say to you all is just that, as a mother of a child going through this, the journey and the difficulty in putting your hand up and saying, please listen to me, is immense. So if there's anyone out there that's involved in those services, I just pray and beg you to just really, really help these mothers that are in this situation. We have a happy ending to our story. My children have been legally adopted now by their stepfather. My ex-husband has nothing to do with them. He has no legal rights, no parental responsibility, so thank God they're safe. They're completely safe, but the fight was immense. The financial impact was huge. The emotions on us as a family have been massive, but we've done it, we've fought and we've got through it, and we have got out the other end of it. And Yvonne had said to me if I could give words of advice to anyone in a similar situation here, and the thing I wanted to say was just how much that vulnerable person needs your help, your belief, your strength, your energy, and your words, especially when they're young, your words. We've talked about words, and I found it imperative to write every single thing down, every meeting, every disclosure, everything. I had books and books and books of everything that happened, and that's really important because nobody will know your case like you know your case, and nobody will read it like you do. So get as much help as you can. I got advice from Mossack, at NSPCC. I knew my subject inside out. I just worked so hard to understand what I was dealing with so that I could fight the authorities that just I felt weren't helping me. And counselling. I had counselling. My children had counselling. They weren't allowed to have that, obviously, when they were going through the process, but they have been allowed to have it since. And I think it was just hugely helpful. All the crazy thoughts that I kind of thought I had, and I think I was led to believe a little bit that I was going slightly crazy, to actually sit down with people that understood and listened and said to me, no, you're not crazy, this is real, this is what's happening, this is how you should feel. I thought at any minute he would steal them. I thought that he'd get them back. I didn't sleep much in those sort of 2.5, 3 years. And the biggest thing I think is that although they say, because in my case it was family court, the police did an ABE, etc., and the CPS were involved, but it didn't go as far as taking him to court because there wasn't enough evidence. And I think the biggest thing to say is that, I think it was just listening to some of the things about the words that the children use. In my case, the fact that my children used childish words like willy and foo-foo, as we call it, actually helped our case because the social services in our situation were saying that's child speak. I don't know, it's such a difficult one because I don't know at that time if my daughter had said vagina and penis, they might have thought I put the words in her head. And that was something I was fighting constantly all the time. These aren't my words. I wasn't able to talk to my children about this thing. I wasn't able to talk about why they couldn't see their father properly. I just had to say, trust me. And I suppose I know I have to finish, so all I want to say is that I did believe my daughter. I have really supported her through this, and she's doing really well. She's a great girl, and she is positive. She knows what's happened to her. She's now 11 years old. She hasn't forgotten it. We didn't not talk about it, but she's never forgotten about it. She's still ashamed, even though intellectually she knows it's not her fault. She's still ashamed about this situation. And I'm sure through life we'll have lots of different counselling that goes on and lots of things to deal with. But I do tell her that, I think she's amazing. She let me know she was brave enough to stand up and make changes. And I think she's amazing, and please God, she is. Good things are going to happen to her in her life. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Elaine. Wow. Amazing. Amazing, 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 amazing. Very moving. We will be putting some... We'll start serving the teas and the coffees, etc. We'll start putting the things on the table shortly. But also what we'll be putting on the table are these tickets, and on the reverse side is blank. If you have any questions that you don't want to verbalise, but you would like to have answered, because we're going to have a panel, if you could write those questions and I will come around and collect them. You don't have to put your name on there. It's anonymous. If I could ask the servers to start coming in now, and as quietly as possible, we'll start furnishing the tables, but we won't be doing it with anything loud. But yeah, Elaine, I mean, amazing. Amazing of you to share, and brave as well. And obviously you've been through a process. And I hope I'm not speaking for you, but I'm going to do it anyway. If you want to speak to Elaine, that's why we're here. That's why she's not here by video screen, so you can't speak with her. Speak with her today. Speak with any of the speakers today. That's why they're here. They've availed themselves of that as well. We are now going to have a performance by Juliet Ray. Oh, that's an easy name to get right. Thank goodness. Juliet, if you'd like to join me, please. Just very, very quickly, I'm just going to interview you. Firstly, to say thank you for agreeing to come along and sing. How do you know about Daughter Arise?
There's a young man called Chen, and it was Chen that, I'm not sure how it went. Chen told Yvonne about me and me about Yvonne, something like that, and then we started talking on the phone, and that's the conversation started. And
how would you describe the type of music that you perform?
Listen to you about the event first. Okay. It's gospel inspirational. That's really what I'm dealing with, okay? And some of the stuff that you'll hear today was penned by myself. But I tend to write from an angle of social situations, and it's solution-focused, okay?
And that's it. Microphone over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much, my lovely. What I'd like to share, actually, is that through the last, I think, couple of months, isn't it, Yvonne? We've started talking. She's telling me about Daughter Arise. And truly, I'm not playing here, truly blessed by what Yvonne is actually doing. And then I heard about another lady today that's also doing something. And I think that all of us, we've all got something to do. And I'm grateful to be here. If I didn't get to sing, I'm just happy to be here. Now, I've come from a different position. I've heard women that have shared. I know of people that have gone through abuse. But I'm a teacher by profession. And in my job, I deal with students, a disclosure. Sometimes teachers are the first point of contact when there's sexual abuse. And I've had some horrible situations to deal with where the students share the mother left the child outside social services office. Then there's another one where the assistant director said, Juliet, it's okay, you can use your faith. So I've actually used my faith to talk to a young lady about her situation. And then in the end, because she wanted her mother to know that she was sexually abused. And that worked out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I come from a different position. And one thing I said, God, I keep meeting women that have gone through this. And I know of men that have gone through it. But how come I've not written anything? But I've actually got a book coming out prayerfully this year. And I do actually address the challenges of sexual abuse. But I also share, I write poems and I share them with my class. We do need to talk about it. This isn't, what we're talking about here is an ancient demon. It's been around for a long time. And I can't say it's going to go away. But our victory is to expose it. What do you think? Yeah? That's what we have to do, is expose it. One of my students did a project, and she said, oh, miss, it's new. I said, no, it's not new. It's just that we have language, we're in positions of power, and we're now talking about it. So I just say, keep going, because you know what? We're getting there. And I just want to say that I know you get your sandwiches and your teas, but I looked at the sign and it said, daughter, arise. Have you arisen? I only heard one person. If you know that you have arisen, stand up, let me see. We've been sitting all the afternoon. Come on, that's it. Give yourself a clap, come on. Because you know what? This is not easy. This is not easy. You can sit down now, thank you. This is not easy because one of my good friends at the time told me she was in hospital and a wardrobe fell on her. But we know what that meant because her mum didn't believe her. So the wardrobe fell on her, but we all know what that meant. It was her stepfather that was abusing her. So to talk about this openly and to know the stuff that comes with it, I would say, you know what, keep talking, keep going, because we're on your side. Now, I want to share with you, hold on a minute. This is to be used. Okay, it's to be used, that's why it's here. And I'm going to come back down. I just want to play a game and use it. I'm going to do two pieces. One's based on a biblical character called Joseph. And may it bless you. Oh, Joseph, brother Joseph, who dared to speak his dream to those who despised him. You see, Joseph had a family issue. His brothers were jealous of him because his father loved him more. And though favor was there, adversity was clearly there. And so they threw him into a pit, and then they sold him into slavery. But nothing can stop the favor of God. And so Joseph rose to a prominent position. Now, what are your issues? Have you been abandoned, abused, accused, thrown into prison? Are you struggling with remnants of slavery? Then I would say, rise up and become all that God has called you to be. Push on through, you gotta push on through until you reach your goal. Push on through, you gotta push on through, you gotta push on through until you reach your goal. Push on through. And then there was a woman with an issue of blood who had to push through the crowd and no doubt their faces to touch the hem of his garment. Jesus, who felt virtue had left him, but for the woman her faith had made her whole. So what are your issues? What are you wrestling with? Your identity? Your health? Life issues? Relationship issues? Promotion? Taking that exam? Are you taking them to your friends or your family? I would say take them to Jesus and let your faith make you whole. Keep pushing on through because that's all you can do. Push on through when you have your tea. Push on through when you have your sandwiches filled with love and blessings. Push on through when you eat your cakes and save me some. Push on through. You look so beautiful. Push on through. Keep pushing on through. Push on through. Listen, read God's word and push through. Fast and pray and push through. Worship God and push through. Push on through. Push on through. In distress, push through. Feel depressed, push on through. Loneliness, push through. Hopelessness, push through. push on through, push on through. Read God's word and push through. Fast and pray and push through is what you need to do. You gotta push through, whoa, 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 whoa.